So, so welcome to everyone and those who have been staying with this. I think this is the third or fourth session that I'm having on this instructions, 10th Canto, and we managed to do up to chapter 40 or so, I think. And 10th Canto, I don't know how many chapters more, but we still have to probably carry on. But we've been doing so many different things in between as well. So yesterday, we managed to get up to chapter 33, and I only got up to chapter 40 now too. So this is probably going to bring it to a close for now, till we do some more chapters. So in chapter 33, as regards the residence of Krishna with the gopis, Srila Prabhupada explains that even the demigods in heaven, in charge of maintaining propriety in the universe, ecstatically accepted the residence as the ultimate religious affair, completely different from the perverted reflection of the romance we find in this mundane world. So from this, we understand, that in chapter 33, just before that, there was chapter 32, 31, and all that, and covered yesterday, we talked about the Gopi Geet and how the gopis actually sing that Gopi Geet because Krishna had actually, for momentarily, they couldn't find him, and they were concerned, of the residents, where is Krishna and why has he disappeared? And they couldn't find him, and then they sing this song, and then after that, Krishna also appears, and when he reappears, obviously tells them the reason why he disappears, and we understand from that. So we're taking the instructions from those pastimes of Krishna. So in even this is where Prabhupada also explained that demigods actually, they are in charge of so many different departments in the universe, so nothing is free. We get rain, electricity, sunshine, and everything is actually maintained by the demigods, and we're indebted to them in a way, because and then that's why we just like we pay bills, government, nothing comes free. There are water bills and all sorts of things. So we're indebted like that. But Krishna says that, the demigods, although they're in charge, they have been put in charge by the order of Krishna, and that they're all actually representing Krishna in the universe and doing the order, just like Surya Dev has been ordered by Krishna to actually remain in a particular orbit. We learned that from Srimad Bhagavatam when we're reading previous cantos, that how Surya Dev actually rides in his chariot in a particular orbit and in a path under the order of Krishna, and it provides the sunshine and maintains the solar system, and we get the temperature quite right, as we should on the planet Earth, to maintain life on this earth. So even those demigods actually regard this the rasa dance not as some sort of perverted, some people think like that oh, Krishna is engaging in these sort of, so with so many women and things like that. So, but we understood from previous that there are billions of gopis actually, and 8 of them are the prime principal gopis as well. So we have to have that understanding that this is not actually some mundane, perverted, romantic kind of affair of Krishna. This is on a transcendental level. So it's also amazing that gopis are very artistic and use mudras, etc., in the dance. So when they were dancing with Krishna, they're actually very, very artistic. They use mudras, dance, and they created 16,000 different ragas or musical modes, and they have subsequently been disseminated throughout the world. And that even today, devotees throughout the world sing the praises of Krishna, following the examples of the gopis. So we see, you know, how musical, so many different ragas. I'm not a music teacher, or I've never learned music, but I know that there are so many different ragas, morning, evening, afternoon, different during daytime. So, you know, Karuna Bandar, a wonderful music teacher and singer, and she sings so many different bhajans here. And we are so fortunate, you know, but this is actually how it's actually descending from all the gopis. They set the example, and in praising Krishna. So everything is meant to be in praise of Krishna. That's what the gopis do. But on imitating great personalities, that's another thing that we take an instruction from that. One who is not a great controller should never imitate the behavior of ruling personalities, even mentally. So if out of foolishness an ordinary person does imitate such behavior, he will simply destroy himself. Just as a person who is not Rudra would destroy himself if he tried to drink an ocean of poison. So we know in the past cantos and where churning of the ocean, and there was a poison that came out, and it was Rudra, Lord Shiva, who actually drank that, and that's why we call him Nilakanta. And but imitating some persons like that, actually we would destroy ourselves. So we should not really imitate behavior of some, like even great demigods, you know, they are all in charge. We can't imitate them. So that's another instruction we get from this. In this chapter, in 34, we see how even Nanda Maharaj and the gopis called out to Krishna to save them from the danger from a serpent who was a worshipable Vidyadhara previously, and Sankhchuda, a servant of Kuvera, respectively. So this incident happened where Vidyadhara and Sankhchuda had come in the vicinity of Vrindavan, and he was causing havoc and putting them to danger. So I've got a little bit on Sankhchuda. I found a little bit, so we can expand a bit. So we should also call out to Krishna when faced with danger. Shiva Nand Maharaj and the gopis, they called out to Krishna. So we are dependent on Krishna, and when we are in danger, we should depend on Krishna and call out to him. When Draupadi called out to Krishna at that very last moment, and Arjuna depended on Krishna. So, you know, that's how Krishna protects us in dangerous situations. And it does say in the Bhagavad Gita as well that, you know, Sarma Dharma Paritajay Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tam Sarva Papi Moksha Samamasucha. So Krishna says, give up all kind of varieties of, we try to depend on so many different religious paths and this and that and philosophy and all that. So give up all that, surrender unto me, and I will free you from all dangers. So this is Sankhchuda. I think I found a little bit of this. So we probably expand on this and just read a little bit. If anybody wants to read, I'll put this up. It's actually just about how Sankhchuda. So I'll read first bit, then I'll bring up second if anybody wants to read. Otherwise, I'll carry on, certainly. So at that time, while they were so much absorbed, almost in madness, a demon associate of Kuvera, the treasurer of heavenly planets, appeared on the scene. The reason why it's called Sankhchuda is because the demons, the demon's name was Sankhchuda because on his head there was a valuable jewel resembling a conch shell. Just as the two sons of Kuvera were puffed up over their wealth and opulence and did not care for Narad Muni's presence, So we know the two sons of Kuvera, who were released by Krishna in the Damodar Leela. So they were puffed up over their wealth and opulence. Just like that, this Sankhchuda was also puffed up over material opulence. He thought that Krishna and Balaram were two ordinary coward boys enjoying the company of many beautiful girls. So anybody wants to read this bit?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Okay. Generally, in the material world, a person with riches thinks that all beautiful women should be enjoyed by him. Sankhchuda also thought that since he belonged to the rich community of Kuvera, he, not Krishna and Balaram, should enjoy the company of so many beautiful girls. He therefore decided to take charge of them. He appeared before them, before Krishna and Balaram and the damsels of Braj, and began to lead the girls away to the north. He commanded them as if he were their proprietor and husband, despite the presence of Krishna and Balaram. Being forcibly taken away by Sankhchuda, the damsels of Braja called the names of Krishna and Balaram for protection. So this is what was actually happening. The two brothers immediately began to follow them, taking up big logs in their hands. Don't be afraid, they called out to the gopis. We're coming at once to chastise this demon. Very quickly, they reached Sankhchuda. Thinking the brothers too powerful, Sankhchuda left the company of the gopis and ran for fear of his life. But Krishna would not let him go. He entrusted the gopis to the care of Balaram and followed Sankhchuda wherever he fled. Krishna wanted to take the valuable jewel resembling the conch shell from the head of the demon. After following him for a short distance, Krishna caught him, struck his head with his fist and killed him. He then took the valuable jewel and returned. In the presence of all the damsels of Braja, he presented the valuable jewel to his elder brother Balaram. So this is the story of that jewel as well, and I think that Sankhchuda jewel comes up again in some other pastime as well. So that's a little bit expanded on Sankhchuda in that chapter. Chapter 35 then, this chapter and verses definitely confirm that the so-called pain of the heartbroken gopis is actually great spiritual bliss. On the material platform, pain is pain, period. But on a spiritual platform, so-called pain is simply a different variety of spiritual ecstasy. So we'll know that, when Krishna and the gopis were very heartbroken, obviously when Krishna leaves Vrindavan as well, they were separated for a long time, and then there is this separation. So even when Radharani feels that in separation, they actually feel a spiritual ecstasy. So it's not really a pain as such. So in material platform, yeah, when we get pain, it is pain. Chapter 36.
I can read.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Can I ask you one question?
Go on. Yes.
Yes. The pain, which is a different variety of spiritual ecstasy, does it manifest outwards as a pain, but inwards they're feeling a bit of a spiritual bliss? Is that correct interpretation?
Yes, that's right. Because we have to understand that in the spiritual realm, there's no body as such. So we don't feel bodily pain. Whereas in the material world, we have a body and we have a material body. And that brings a kind of a pain that is suffered by the individual soul through the subtle bodies, because there is a subtle body, the mind, intelligence, false ego. All these things play a part in the material world. But in the spiritual world, everything is blissful. Everything is Satchit Ananda Vigraha. We have a spiritual form as well, a spiritual body. But that anytime there is kind of a pain as such, it's not really a pain. It's just some kind of a spiritual ecstasy. So it's on a different level. Yeah. I hope that answers.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So that's how I understand that, we have to understand spiritual body is a spiritual kind of a pain, but there is anxiety in the spiritual world, but that anxiety is also not a kind of a pain or anxiety of I'm going to lose something, or we get anxious and anxiety because something bad is going to happen to us and all that, because we fear for our body, because we have misidentified ourselves with the body. So we think that something's going to happen. I'm going to lose this, but we're attached to the body as well. So death, we get anxious. There's fear of death. But in the spiritual, when we understand that, we're a spiritual soul, there's no fear of death as such as well. So many great personalities would leave their body without fearing, and we see from the examples of great acharyas, even like Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj, leaving the body, they in a kind of a spiritual ecstasy. But in the spiritual realm, yeah, there is anxiety because Krishna, they want to just serve Krishna. How can I serve Krishna? And that is because of that. There's no ignorance in the spiritual world either. So they're fully cognizant and fully aware of who they are and who Krishna is and who everyone else is. So their role is always to please Krishna, whatever doing. So I hope that helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
May I read?
Yeah, go on.
Chapter 36. This chapter reveals the fact that Lord Krishna is as hard as a thunderbolt or as soft as rose, depending on our attitude towards him.
So yeah, Krishna can be as hard as a thunderbolt, but it's like, Krishna is like the mouth of a tiger. I've seen an example of how a lion will hold its cub. So to the cub, that mouth is a soft, gentle, and a shelter actually. So the lion will pick up the cub with his mouth, but that same mouth, a zebra will find it coming down like a thunderbolt. So depending on our attitude towards Krishna, a lot of these demons actually felt the thunderbolt of Krishna. But the devotees, Krishna is as soft as, so this is how we understand. And so we remain surrendered to Krishna, and our attitude is loving, caring. We offer prasad, we try to do some service, not only to Krishna, but also Krishna's devotees, because Krishna's devotees are more dear to Krishna than, so when we serve Krishna's devotees, like we serve Guru Maharaj or Prabhupada, mention other acharya, other devotees, Krishna is very soft as rose, hopefully. Pray to him. Okay, you want to read any more?
Yeah. In this chapter, it is wonderful how Narad Muni addresses Krishna. Narad Muni said, "Oh Krishna, Krishna, unlimited Lord, source of all mystic power, Lord of universe, O Vasudev, shelter of all beings and best of the Yadus, O Master, you are the supreme soul of all created beings, sitting unseen within the cave of the heart like the fierce dormant within kindling wood. You are the witness within everyone, the supreme personality and the ultimate controlling deity."
Yep. So kindling wood, within that, there is a fire which is dormant. So like that, sitting unseen within the cave of the heart, the Krishna is there as a supreme soul. And this is how Narad Muni explains and prays to Krishna, how, his mystic powers. So this is how we see. So you are the witness within everyone and ultimate controlling deity. So, yeah. Go on, finish this up.
Okay. So we should understand that Krishna is within the heart of every living entity and witnesses and fulfills our desires.
Okay, 38. Go on, you can carry on reading.
Okay. as we read about Akrura's journey to Narad Maharaj's village, we should carefully study his thoughts and mood of approaching Krishna and Balram.
So we know that Akrura was approaching Nanda Maharaj's village, and he had a reason for why he was going there. That's covered in that chapter. But he while he was approaching, he had a certain mood, he had a certain thoughts, his thought process approaching Krishna and Balaram. And it's quite interesting to study those thoughts actually. I can't elaborate here because we've gone through that chapter, so but I'm just emphasizing on his thoughts. We can revisit that at some point. Go on, come on, Sri.
When we are also ruled over by Kans-like personalities, then as Narad Maharaj puts it to Akrura, we are like sheep under the care of a butcher.
So here it said that, Kans-like personalities. Well, we know who Kans was and what his personality was like and what he was doing to even his own sister. And it happens so many times in history that, these sort of personalities come and then try to rule over, and we get ruled over by and then, so Nanda Maharaj puts it to Akrura that actually we are all like sheep under the care of a butcher. You know what the butcher is going to do eventually to a sheep. The sheep might think quite independent, thinking away, grazing on the grass, thinking I'm all right. But just another sheep had been slaughtered and knows that his turn is coming. So, okay, go on.
We should pray for a similar situation to that of Akrura's, who forgot the fatigue of his journey. It is like our journey through this ocean of material existence.
So finally, when Akrura had gone to Nanda Maharaj and he forgot all about his hardships and the struggle all throughout his journey. So we are on a journey through this material existence, and when we finally take shelter and arrive, it's like a relief, and we'll forget about the challenges we've had in this material ocean, been tossed around like a football in the waves in the ocean. So when that time come, and then we won't think of the fatigue. Go on.
These pastimes are very sad for the gopis and the Brajavasis, as Akrura takes Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. Again, separation intensifies the love they have for Krishna, and also Akrura gets to have a vision of the Lord's potencies while bathing in Yamuna. We should make a study of these potencies, examples Sri, Pusti, Vir, etc. Urja is his internal potency for performing pastimes. He expands as a tulsi plant in this world. Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
We understand from these pastimes the reason why Lord appears in his transcendental manner to please his devotees, and including inhalating demons like Kansa.
Yeah. So these pastime, when Akrura had gone to Nanda Maharaj's house, is actually to at the request of Kans, really, because Akrura had come to take Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura, and then in Mathura, then obviously Krishna and Balaram has his pastimes in Mathura, where they finally kill Kans. And while they were going, just before that, Akrura actually gets a vision of the Lord's while he was bathing in the Yamuna. So, Krishna has so many potencies, like Shri. Shri means like Shreya, like potencies, which is very opulence, pusti, then gir and urja, and these are all different potencies. And is one of the potencies where one expanded is tulsi in this plant, in this world. So we worship tulsi that way. And then again, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, that paritranayam sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam. So vinasaya, vinash means duskritam, this demon-like person that comes I come to annihilate those demon-like duskritams. And paritranaya sadhunam, I come to protect my devotees. Then dharma samstapinarthaya sambhavana yuge yuge. So from millennium to millennium, I come to establish and protect the Sanatana Dharma. So this is how, but obviously in Kali Yuga, Sanatana Dharma, as we covered in the previous session yesterday, how Sanatana Dharma in Kali Yuga has become so obscured, and other atheistic and all these other religions are predominating over Sanatana Dharma. So real Sanatana Dharma is a bit obscured in Kali Yuga. But Krishna is there, has appeared again and again, and he appeared as Lord Chaitanya to really give the real Yuga Dharma, which is that of chanting of the holy name of Krishna, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we should do kirtan, chant. Every moment we get, we should just chant this Maha Mantra silently in our head, mind, and get absorbed in it. So last chapter now, I think chapter 40. Do you want to read this? There's Akrura's prayer. Go on.
It's okay, carry on.
Akrura's prayers reveal the special mercy of Krishna. Go and read this. This is Akrura's prayer.
Okay. Akrura's prayers reveal the special mercy of Krishna. Being thus fallen, I am approaching your feet for shelter, O Lord, because although the impure can never attain your feet, I think it is nevertheless possible by your mercy. Only when one's material life has ceased, O lotus-naveled Lord, can one develop consciousness of you by serving your pure devotees.
So you can see in this prayer, Akrura is actually saying that, he feels so impure, and it's very difficult unless, it is only possible by Krishna's mercy. When Krishna shows his special mercy, and again, it's at Krishna's prerogative when he wants to show mercy and when not, when he wants to be like a gentle rose or like a thunderbolt, as we said before. So once material life is seized, then develop a consciousness. So we should be serving by pure devotees, serving pure devotees. So we try and serve Srila Prabhupada in some way. And his mission, Prabhupada established so many temples, gurukuls, goshalas, and whenever we get a chance, we associate with devotees. That's what Prabhupada encouraged and developed, established this Krishna consciousness to give association of to each other, pure devotees. So by that, we can develop that consciousness. So chapter 40, I think, is the last one. So I found this last bit. This is the last bit, and I'll finish there. Anybody wants to read, this is wonderful. This picture I found, which says earlier on, we covered how Krishna can actually, one of the qualities of 64 qualities of Krishna, one of them is that he understands every language, whether it is animate or inanimate, spoken by any living creature, he can understand the language. So in the transcendental land of Vrindavan, every living creature is established in his eternal living, loving relationship with Krishna. And the Lord can reciprocate with each one perfectly. Not only does he respond to their loving mood, heart to heart, but he can communicate in their own language. So this is one of the things that Krishna can understand anybody's language. Even if you remain very silent, don't say anything, Krishna will understand you. We might not understand Sanskrit. So in the next chapter, this is so because he is the most wonderful linguist. As it is explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the person who knows the languages of different countries, especially the Sanskrit language, which is spoken in the cities of the demigods, as well as other worldly languages, including those of animals, is called a wonderful linguist. It appears from this statement that Krishna can also speak and understand the languages of the animals. So an old woman in Vrindavan present at the time of Krishna's pastimes once stated in surprise, how wonderful it is that Krishna, who owns the hearts of all the young girls of Brajbhumi, can nicely speak the language of Brajbhumi to the gopis, while in Sanskrit he speaks with the demigods, and in the language of the animals he can even speak with the cows and buffalo. Similarly, in the language of the Kashmir province and with the parrots and other birds, as well as in most common languages, Krishna is so expressive. She inquired from the gopis as to how Krishna has become so expert in speaking so many different types of languages. So there we are. Krishna understands everyone's heart and everyone's mind, and he can communicate with languages. And that's why in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, he could make all the animals in the forest dance, and the animals forgot each other's animosity towards each other or whatever, and they were all dancing. So there is that pastimes in Lord Chaitanya's, that animals were chanting and to Lord Chaitanya's kirtan. So there we are. I hope that is sufficiently. This was a painting by Pushkara Das, and I found this very amazing that although, it says, like Krishna speaks in Sanskrit to the demigods. So Sanskrit is one of those languages that has been spoken, and the Bhagavad Gita is spoken in that Sanskrit, and we try to understand that and do this thing. So I will stop there, and thank you very much for giving me the chance to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna and serve Srila Prabhupada in some way. So if you got any comments or any questions, by all means, you can ask, and we remain open to. There we go. Haribol, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Guru Maharaj Ji.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. That was nicely done, nicely summarized. So thank you for that. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.